Welcome, all my Washington Commander fans. Welcome to the Command Post. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. Y'all take y'all post, man. We got some real discussing to take place here. So Russell Wilson chooses the Denver Broncos. Not a surprise. What is a surprise? Let me offer up a double O first, because I was adamant that Russell Wilson wasn't going to be traded. And I told you it's lion season. Believe half of what you see, none of what you hear, even if it's spat by me, your man Louie T. Pete Carroll sat in front of our faces at the podium at the combine and said, we're not taking calls on Russell Wilson. If somebody calls, John Schneider picks up the phone and says, hey, we're not interested, and hangs up. Pete Carroll looked us right in our eyes and lied to us with a smile on his face. It's lion season. So I'm not surprised, but I got to offer up a double O. Okay, I was wrong. Russell Wilson got traded. But I was right about one thing. It wasn't here. And I told you guys, nobody wants to come here. And I don't blame them. Okay? The delusion that I've talked about with this organization, specifically with Ron Rivera. And look, Ron did his best to try to campaign. That's what he was doing. He was on a campaign tour this offseason, trying to convince himself, everybody else in the building, the fans, and most importantly, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, and any other quarterback out there that was interested in potentially moving on from their current destinations, that, hey, you can come to Washington. It's safe. There's no more big bad Bruce Allen. Daniel Snyder's all the way in the back. We got this thing under control. It's safe. No, it's not safe, and your roster is not clean yet. It's not clean yet. This ain't summer 16. Riding dirty, not clean. We still dirty over here, right? We still dirty over here. We still got a lot of work to do. Hands should be filthy because we got a lot of work to do. You listen to Ron, though. Hey, this roster's not that far away. Bullshit. Bullshit, Ron. And Russ just called you on your shit. So this is how I think it went. And we'll get into the particulars, because if you're one of those people that say, of course he chose to go to Denver. Of course the Seahawks decided to trade him out of the conference. It's the right thing to do. Okay, fine. We'll get back to that. Put a pin in that. We'll come back to that, okay? Let's talk about how this went down, okay? So Ron and company went to the Senior Bowl. Ron didn't go, if you recall. We were launching the new Washington Commanders brand, okay? So Ron didn't go, but he sent his henchmen to Mobile. And they went over, and before the Seahawks left to go to Mobile, Russell Wilson said, hey, remember, Pete, if Washington asks, I'm not home. I'm not home. All right? Now, if Denver calls, hand me the phone. But if Washington calls, I'm not home. John Schneider, Pete Carroll said, hey, we got you, bro. We got you. So, of course, Marty Hurney, Martin Mayhew, they walk over to Pete Carroll and company and say, hey, what's up, guys? How y'all doing, man? Hey, pretty good. So heard that y'all might be interested in dealing Russ. And they're like, nah, we're not interested, man. We're good. You sure? Yeah, because that's not what we're hearing. Hey, look, we're not moving Russ, man. We're not at this time. We're not looking to do anything. All right, cool. So they go back home, does Martin Mayhew and Marty Hurney, and they go back to Ron and they report, hey, look, man, they said they're not trying to move him. Ron's like, you sure? That's not what I'm hearing. I'm putting my ear to the street. That's not what I'm hearing. He says, you know what? I'll go make a visit at the combine myself personally and go check and see what's going on. And Russ, he told them again, hey, if Denver calls, y'all know what to do. If Washington calls, I'm not home. So Ron says, nah, I'm not going to call this time. I'm going to go to their office. They come open the door. Hey, what's going on? Ron's like, hey. And Ron tries to come in. Can I come in? He's like, we're actually kind of busy right now watching the combine. What do you need, Ron? And Ron's looking around inside. And he's like, just wanted to see if Russ was home. And Russ is walking past. Hey, what's up, Ron? As he's munching on some chips, as he's going to sit down on the couch. And Pete's like, sorry, Russ isn't home. But Ron's like, but I can see him right. He said, I'm sorry, he's not home. Get to you later. Slam the door in our face. That's how people treat us, man. That's what Russell Wilson did to us, essentially. And look, Russ is a politically correct guy. I love me some Russell Wilson. I'm not mad at him for this. Russ went on a campaign this offseason telling anybody that would listen, hey, I'm cool. He even had Kevin Sheehan out here telling y'all folks out here, hey, he'll consider Washington. His ass never considered Washington. He just didn't want to shit on Washington. And for what? Why would you shit on somebody? You never want to burn a bridge. You never know when you might have to go home. Okay? So I'm not going to shit on Washington. Sure, I'll entertain the thought, you know, and the prospects of going to Washington, but he really wasn't. If there are other options out there, I'm going to choose that other option Now, we could go the route of, well, let's look at the deal Washington offered and the deal that the Broncos offered. So reportedly, Washington offered 3 number ones. The Broncos offered 2. Now, that probably wasn't the end of the Washington deal. It started with 3 ones, probably progressed to a 2, maybe a 5, just like the Broncos gave up. And then you're going to have to give up some players too, just like the Broncos did. Here's the difference. Broncos had a quarterback to give up. Broncos had Noah Fant. We don't have a Noah Fant to give away. And they gave up Shelby Harris. Good defensive lineman. He's not better than Daron Payne. So I'd like to think that we could have offered a similar, if not better package. Okay, we clearly offered more first-round picks. They just didn't want to deal him to us, and not because, oh, we didn't want to deal him in the conference. Bullshit. Okay, bullshit. Because this isn't about what I don't want to deal with Russell Wilson for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Nobody gives a shit about that. Okay, I came to that conclusion last year, even though the Rams and the Lions, they were friends because the GM, Brad Holmes, came from LA, so he didn't mind doing business with the Rams and their GM. And so all of that made sense. I get it. Okay, they were buddies, so they did a deal that helped one and benefited the other team. I get it. But at the same time, in this league, it's all about what can I do to better my situation now and into the future. Okay. And irregardless, it's one thing to not trade a guy into your division, right? Like, I'm not trading my quarterback unless he stinks. Like, Andy Reid traded us Donovan McNabb. You think Andy Reid trades us Donovan McNabb if he had anything left in the tank? Hell no. He only did that because he's like, Donovan's washed. And I know it. I watch it in practice every day. So I know he's washed. So I don't mind giving Washington some old 4-day-old leftovers that's starting to rot in the fridge. It stinks. I'll give it to them and let it stink up their fridge. That's not what you do with Russell Wilson, who's 32, 33 years old, who's still playing at a very high level, that will probably play with the way the rules are set up in this league, will probably play at a very high level for at least the next 5 to 7 years. Not trading him in the division, but you know what you will do? You'll trade him in the conference. Why? Because I'm trying to get the best deal available. And what this says to me is Russ said, I don't want to go to Washington. I want to go to, and he has a no trade clause. Remember, he can veto anything. So you don't even need to waste your time if you're Seattle with Washington. If the man tells you, I don't want to go there, don't waste your time. For what? He's already expressed to you what he does and doesn't want to do, and he can control that situation. So why don't you just go and start negotiating with the team that he wants to go to, which is the Denver Broncos? It makes a ton of sense. This had nothing to do with them not wanting to trade in conference, maybe a sliver. Okay, I don't want to dismiss that, but guess what? At the end of the day, them making this deal, they're dead. The Seattle Seahawks aren't going anywhere. With Drew Lock, with some quarterback that they take with the 9th overall pick that they got from Denver, it doesn't matter. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. So the fact that we would have him, we're going to stop Seattle from all of a sudden doing something now? No way. They don't care about trading him in the conference. He didn't want to come here. That's what this is about. Now, they can say that to save face, or Washington can leak that out and to make themselves feel better. All of that is fine and dandy. But at the end of the day, the reality of the situation is Russell Wilson didn't want to come here. Aaron Rodgers didn't want to come here. And most Matthew Stafford didn't want to come here. Nobody does. Okay. I as a Memphis Grizzlies fan, I know how this works, okay? No one's ever going to choose Memphis in free agency. You have to draft well, and you have to get lucky and hit on a star, and then maybe, just maybe, other guys will want to play with that star, and that's how you'll attract free agents to Memphis. But other than that, you have to draft well, because guess what? No one's coming to Memphis as a free agent. Just like nobody was going to OKC as a free agent. Okay, they had Kevin Durant, they had Russell Westbrook, they had all these stars, James Harden. Nobody was looking to go to OKC. It's not a preferred destination. And in the NFL, it's a little bit different, because Washington is not a small market like San Antonio, like OKC, like Memphis. It's a massive, major media market. The big difference here is we stink. We have a stench that precedes us. Everyone knows that we're dysfunctional and it starts at the top. And oh, by the way, we're not winning football games to negate the damage that Daniel Snyder has done to this organization for over 2 decades. Until we win on a consistent basis, and again, it's the chicken or the egg theory. Okay, you're not going to win consistently if you don't have a quarterback. Well, if you don't have a quarterback, you're not going to win consistently. Well, we can't get the quarterback because we keep not drafting the right guy, whether it's Robert Griffin III or it's Dwayne Haskins. We keep effing up in the draft. So you keep finding yourself back here having to do it all over again. You're not going to win games consistently. And if you don't win games consistently, you're not going to be able to attract a guy to come here. So what that says is we're going to have to draft that guy. And I got a feeling they're going to F it up again this year in the draft. They're not going to be looking for a quarterback next year when they should be looking for a quarterback, because they got a guy and he showed us a little flash, and they want to, or they took Malik Willis. They didn't play him last year. So they had a bridge quarterback that got us through the entire season. Now they want to see what Malik Willis looks like. He turns out to stink. And we passed up on an opportunity to get one of these big-time quarterbacks coming in 2023. I think we're going to F it up again. My confidence level is at 0 with this organization to find a quarterback. So, in closing, we've done this before. I've told you this before. But some of you love to get your hopes up. People start gassing you up, and they put batteries in your back, and you start to run with, hey, Russell Wilson will come here. He said as much. Kevin Sheehan said that Russell Wilson is considering us. Nobody is coming here. If there are other options available, they'll choose that one over this one. And I don't blame them, and neither do you. And as far as the talent is concerned, don't kid yourself. The Denver Broncos, and I've said this before, I said it on my podcast multiple times. I think I even said it last episode. If I'm a quarterback and I'm looking to win the Super Bowl and I'm looking to change teams, the Denver Broncos gives me the best opportunity to do that. They're loaded on offense. Even with trading Noah Fant, they still got Albert O, okay? And they can draft another tight end in this deep tight end draft class. Hell, they could even go out and sign Evan Ingram and add him to the mix, or go sign O.J. Howard. But they can draft one of these young boys, throw him in the mix behind Alberto, and they're still loaded at tight end. They just released one of their receivers, Deshaun Hamilton. They got 77 receivers for days. They're loaded on offense. They're loaded on defense. They're going to be a Super Bowl contender. And if you ask me, they're going to win the Super Bowl this year, because if the trend continues, and I talked about this on the command post 2 weeks ago when I said there's going to be a quarterback that changes teams, that's going to give a team an opportunity to win the Super Bowl, because that's what's happened the last 2 years. Tom Brady did it 2 years ago. Last year was Matthew Stafford. This year it's going to be Russell Wilson. And I thought it was going to be Deshaun Watson. I was wrong, which is why I offered up a double O, because I didn't think Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson was going to change teams, but he did. But I knew for a fact, 100%, sure he wasn't coming here, because nobody chooses to come here. That's why I knew. So if we're going to get this thing right, at the quarterback position, it's going to be because we got it right via the draft. Nobody with any chops, nobody with any sticking power, nobody with a name and good football left in front of them is going to choose Washington as their destination to play the rest of their career or a large chunk of their career at the quarterback position. It's not a smart move right now. It hasn't been for quite some time. So we better get lucky in the draft, or else I wouldn't be shocked if Mitchell Trubisky said, you know what? I don't think I want to go to Washington. I'll go to Tampa Bay, or I'll go to New Orleans, or I'll go somewhere else. I wouldn't be shocked if he decided to do that. Now, the only thing that, and here we are talking about Mitchell Trubisky. I'm not even looking to try to get anybody excited about Mitchell Trubisky, but if we have to get into a war for Mitchell Trubisky's services, the only thing that's on our side is the fact that Ron Rivera is our head coach, and he's coming from a place in which it's loaded with Carolina Panthers ex-staff members who have nothing but great things to say about Ron Rivera. Other than that, there's no reason for Mitchell Trubisky to look here and choose us unless no one else is guaranteeing him the opportunity to start. And if you look around the league, there are probably 4 or 5 teams now that Green Bay's off the market and now that the Denver Broncos are off the market. There's still 4 or 5 teams out there that are still going to be looking to fill their starting quarterback vacancy. So we're going to see. At the end of the day, I said all of that to say this. It's been confirmed once again. For those of you who got your hopes up, I'm sorry. I feel bad for you because you fall for the banana in the tailpipe every single time. It doesn't matter how many times Lucy puts that football down, you still run up there like big head ass Charlie Brown to go kick it. And Lucy pulls the football up and you go flying in the air doing 16 somersaults and fall right on your damn head. I'm sorry for you guys out there that fell for the banana in the tailpipe and the Lucy pulling the football trick again. Nobody's coming here, man. No one's coming to save us. We got to save ourselves. And unfortunately, we haven't been very good at doing that either. So that's our only hope. No one's coming here to save us. We're going to have to save ourselves. That's the overarching theme. No one's coming here to save us. No one's bailing us out. We got to save ourselves. Do you have confidence in Ron, Marty, and Marty to do that? I don't know. I'm going to give them the benefit. I'll be giving them the benefit. I told you I'm going to give them the benefit. I'm going to see what they do this year. But my confidence is pretty low on the confidence index and meter. Okay, it's pretty damn low. But I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. We'll see what happens. We got some comments here. We got some super chats, so we'll take these real quick. Got a new member of the MOBB, Samuel Hatley. Stand up. You are officially in the building as a brand new member of the MOBB squad. You know what to do. Open your arms wide and show Sam some love. Welcome to the squad, Samuel Hatley. Glad to have you. All right. Let's see. Got a super chat here from William Edwards. Thank you for the super chat, William. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, William Edwards, writes, keeping up revenue during lying season. Always respect to the best Washington football content producer, Russell Wilson to the Broncos. We the fat girl at the party. You're damn right we are. We are the fat girl at the party. And even after 5 or 6 drinks, we still don't look like we worthy of getting taken home. All right. It's rough. It's rough out here on these streets, man. And I try to tell y'all, man, lion season is real. It's real. Pete Carroll just lied. He's a stone cold killer, is Pete Carroll. That man looked us right in our eyes with a smile. I'm talking about a Kodak smile. And said, hey, we ain't trading Russ, man. No way. When people call, when teams call, John Schneider tells them we're not interested and hangs up the phone. No, that's what he tells Washington's ass. Because Russ told him, hey, Washington calls, I'm not home. Hey, Ron showed up at their door at the combine. and asked to speak to Russ, and they told us Russ wasn't home. Russ walks past eating a bag of chips, says, "What's up, Deron?" And they still tell us, like I said before, he's not home, and they slam the door in our face. Anyway, let's see. Got a super chat here from Chris Wilson. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Chris Wilson, writes, I see Denver finishing second in that division. You remember when somebody said, why would Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson want to go to the AFC West? It's so tough out there. They got Mahomes and Herbert and Derek Carr. Who would want to go into that mess? Are you kidding me? I told you, it's something called athletic arrogance that you have to have if you're going to be a great player. And Russell Wilson's a great player, so he has it. That means he says to himself, I don't give a shit about Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs or the upstart Chargers who didn't make it to the playoffs this year, by the way. Give a shit about that. I'm Russell Wilson. If I go to that team that's loaded and ready to go, I'm going to put him over the top. We're going to win the whole goddamn thing. And Russ is saying to himself, I just came from the NFC West. I'm not sure that that's not better than the AFC West. So I'm not tripping. The Super Bowl champs, they just came from our division. Okay? 3 teams from my division made it to the playoffs, and 2 of them were in the championship game. You think I'm afraid of Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert? Please, spare me. So I laughed when that person said, why would he choose to go to Denver over us? He doesn't want to go to that division. And I laughed and I said, you must not know how this works. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Thank you for the super chat, Chris Wilson. KP Underdog. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Lou, you funny, man. I've done that before. Ma, if so-and-so calls, I'm not home. You know how it goes, man. We've all done that before, okay? Now, the youngins don't know anything about that because they don't have to worry about a house phone ringing. They got a cell phone, and they can see whoever's calling them and not pick up. But back in the day, we all had to do that. Hey, if such and such calls, I'm not here, okay? I'm not here. So that's essentially what Russ did. Hey, remember, if Denver calls, hand me the phone. If Washington calls, I'm not here. Oh, man. Let's see. Thank you for that super chat, KP Underdog. Jason Files, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Jason Files, writes, I think we are screwed. Free agents are getting tagged, and now the Seahawks have more capital to get Watson. We're going to have to build through the draft. Can't deal with any team without overpaying. Shaking my head. Well, I don't know if Seattle's really interested in going after Watson or not. I think that's the purpose of taking on Drew Lock. I think they're interested in seeing what he can do. So I think that's part of the reason they wanted him in the deal, because Denver was done with him. So they figure, why not take on Drew Lock, see what he's got, similar to what the Carolina Panthers did with Sam Darnold. Hey, it's not going to kill you to check on a guy, and see what he's got. And if he stinks, then all right, got to move on. No harm, no foul. So I think they're gonna run with Drew Lock. I can tell you this: they saw Drew Lock up close and personal in preseason last year, and Drew Lock tore their ass to shreds. Now, the Seahawks didn't play anybody of note, and it was of no consequence. It's a preseason game, but I think that left a lasting impression on them. And a lot of times, too, with players like the Drew Lock, you also have to take into consideration what we thought about that guy when he was coming out. What did they think about him coming out of Missouri? They had Russell Wilson, so they weren't really checking for him, but maybe they really liked him, but they didn't need him. They had Russell Wilson. So there could be a little bit of that too. So I don't think they're in, and remember, they got draft capital now, but remember, Seattle gave away their first-round picks for the next 87 years when they traded for Jamal Adams. They don't really give a shit about first-round picks and all that. They're glad to get back in the game. It sucks when you're in timeout. We've been there before. It sucks when you're in timeout in the first round and Hell, even in the second round, it sucks to be in timeout. But I don't think they've loaded up to say, oh, we can go after Deshaun Watson now. I think they're more so trying to build this roster up because they're getting old. They're getting older, and now they have to retool. They don't have the crutch of Russell Wilson anymore. They're back to where they were before Russell Wilson got there. Remember, they signed Matt Flynn to be their starting quarterback in that 2020 offseason, and then they got Russell Wilson and they hit the jackpot. And they didn't even know they hit the jackpot until they played him in the preseason and said, oh, shit, this guy's effing amazing. Matt, sit down. Russ, you're in. And they never look back. So they're back to Tavares Jackson land where they were before Russell Wilson. So good luck. They're right in the mix with the rest of us. Low down, dirty scum of the earth. No quarterback having teams in the NFC. Good luck. You'll be at 6-9 at the end of the season, fighting for that 7th and final wild card and trying to scratch and claw together a couple of wins at the end of the season to make it interesting. They're a part of that mix now. So we are screwed, but there's the draft. We'll see what happens. Chris Wilson, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Chris, who writes, Watson to Washington makes sense for the wrong reasons. Again, as much as that makes sense because we're desperate and there are no options left, I still don't think Deshaun Watson wants to come here. I wouldn't if I were him. And again, I don't think that even with the desperation that we have, and it reeks of desperation, I've already talked about that, it's still, from a PR standpoint, it doesn't really look good to bring Deshaun Watson here with the allegations he's facing, with the Daniel Snyder allegations that we already have here in Washington. That's not a really good look. All right. So if Bruce Allen were here, he wouldn't give a shit about that. Go see the Reuben Foster, decision. Like he didn't give a shit about any of that stuff. But he's no longer here. And Ron does care about our image, and he does care about the culture. And so if you want to pour poison into the culture once again and make it toxic again, you go trade for Deshaun Watson. I know most of you don't give a shit. I personally don't give a shit about that either. I want to win. I want a quarterback. Oh, no, we suck again. Well, we were actually never good. So in order to suck again, you have to actually have been good, then suck again. We just still suck. Thank you for the super chat, Chris Wilson. Thank you for the super chat once again, Chris Wilson. Greatly appreciate you, who writes, Watson to Washington makes sense for all the wrong reasons. We just read that. And again, I don't see him coming here. But, we'll see what happens. Chris Wilson, once again, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, who writes, which free agent wideout would you pair with Terry? None. I draft one. This class is loaded. After watching the combine, and I already knew it was a deep class. I didn't know it was this deep and this fast. I'm not opposed to spending the 11th pick in the draft on a wide receiver, taking one of those Ohio State boys potentially at 11. I think that's high though for me, especially for Olave. But if you don't take him at 11, you're not going to get him in the second round. That's for sure. There's so many receivers. I don't think you have to reach for one at 11 if you don't want one. Again, free agency is tough because you're going to have to pay Terry. You just spent free agent bucks on Curtis Samuel, and now you have to pay Terry. Are you really looking to spend more money at the receiver position? I think the answer is no. So I'm not even going to entertain the thought of us going. Now, if we get a low-level receiver that's out there like we did with Adam Humphries last year, I could see us doing that. But as far as a needle mover is concerned, like a guy that we think could be a number 2 next to Terry, that guy is Curtis Samuel. That's who they think that guy is. So they're not looking to scour the free agent market for another receiver. I think they're ultimately going to go and get a guy in the draft. And again, remember, we got De'Ami Brown. So they could be relying on 2 guys that absolutely did nothing last year to come up big for us. And this is the delusion that I talk about. This is why we got to be careful, because we could easily find ourselves running it back with all the boys that didn't help us last year. Now, I expect Curtis Samuel to be healthy, unlike a lot of you. You guys are, very pessimistic when it comes to these things. I don't blame you. But this isn't his track record. It's not like Paul Richardson when he came here, where he's been injured. He's always injured, and we got him and we thought we were going to change something. No, that's not who Curtis Samuel, never, ever trust a man with 2 first names, has been in his career. So we'll see. I don't see us going after any free agent wide receiver of note aggressively. Again, that's not to say that we won't go after a low-level wide receiver, on the secondary free agent market. After all the big shiny items that are overpriced are gone, that's not to say we don't jump in the fray and then throw a couple items in the cart. But I don't see us throwing a big name wide receiver in the cart. We did that last year with Curtis Samuel. John Perez, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy JP writes, I'm so pissed off, it's not even funny. I knew you would be. He says, I don't see any scenario where Ron Rivera makes it to a 4th season when we go 3-14. None whatsoever. You do this. This is your move, JP. This is your move where you go to the lowest end of the spectrum that exists. There's a high side of the spectrum, and then there's a low end of the spectrum. And you always go to the low end. Ron Rivera's never been 3-14 in his life. He's not going to start now. Okay. The man won 7 games last year with Taylor Heineke at quarterback. You think he's going to win less games? Come on, man. Stop. Kevin, the PRF. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, LT, this is so depressing. You make it seem like it makes no difference if Allen was our GM or not. Is it still 2019 or not? It's not depressing when you already know what's going to happen before it happens. It's only depressing if you allow yourself to be sucked in like a tractor beam, suck you right in. And once you do that, then you allow yourself to be opened up to this kind of heartbreak, and then you become depressed. Is this 2019 or not? We're going to find out this offseason. I've already told you. I'm giving them the benefit. All right, it's Pebbles over here. I'll be giving them the benefit. We're going to see what they do, because last year I kind of threw that one out of the window. I said, look, they just got here. They didn't know Adam from Eve, okay? They had no clue. They jumped in the fray, hit the ground running. They didn't even have a chance to breathe last year. This year, they know the roster. They know the wrongs. They know the rights. Okay, we'll see what they do. Michael Rojas, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Russ gone. Is Metcalf available for a trade? No. They have to have a foundation for the next quarterback, right? You can't just give away everything. It's not a yard sale, right? They still are trying to field a competitive team. And honestly speaking, Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf didn't actually have a great rapport last year anyway. He wasn't getting the football. Russ's guy, believe it or not, for a lot of you who haven't been watching, Russ's guy, it wasn't DK Metcalf. His guy was Tyler Lockett. That's his guy. Okay. That's his guy. So DK wasn't getting the football last year. So I'm not sure that DK Metcalf is all that upset. I mean, now if he gets a trash quarterback, he'll be pissed off, and then he'll realize, damn, I had a really good thing here with Russ. But sometimes you don't realize that until it's gone. So we'll see what happens. He's not for sale. And even if he was, we wouldn't be interested, because again, you can't, him and Terry are in the same draft class. You can't pay both of them. So again, we wouldn't be interested in that anyway. Let's see. Super chat here from Eli. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Eli writes, hi, Lou. Feels good to be out of the quarterback wilderness. Hopefully Washington is next. Man, it's rough when you're in there. But this is the thing. You guys are usually in there for like 3-4 years, and then you find one of these veterans and you win a Super Bowl. And so that's what's about to happen. Is you had Kyle Orton, and you went through all of that trash. And then, boom, you get Peyton Manning, and, life is good. Then you went through the Brock Osweilers and the Paxton Lynches of the world. And then what the hell is my man's name? He was Case Keenums of the world, and the Teddy Bridgewaters. And now you're back out of the wilderness again, and you're about to win another Super Bowl with Russell Wilson. It's a beautiful feeling. I'm happy for you guys. And like you said, hopefully Washington is next. I won't hold my breath, but that's all I can do is hope that we're next. Thank you for the super chat, Eli. Plato Rel, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, "Welp, on to the next one." He says, "Which pairing of free agents and rooks do you want at quarterback? Personally, I'd like Willis and Mariota pairing. Really praying for Willis at quarterback." So I'm going to be honest with you. If you are a member of the MOBB, then you know what quarterback I want us to take. I won't disclose that. But I really don't care about the free agent quarterback. Personally, I'd prefer Mariota, but I know he's going to get hurt. So I'm like, I'm a Trubisky apologist. Doesn't mean I want him. But at this point, I'm like, I think he's the best of the rest. Mariota's going to get hurt. And like, I don't want to deal with that here. So I would just rather take my chances with Mitchell Trubisky and see what he's got. Everybody's so adamant that this second act of Trubisky is going to be on par with that of Ryan Tannehill. I'd like to see it here in Washington if that is in fact the case. But honestly, you want the young guy to work out. So we'll see which guy that they decide to take. But it's between Mariota and Trubisky for me. And I can tell you the quarterback that I want isn't Willis. So we'll see what happens. All right. So that was the last super chat. I've got a podcast to jump on, lots to discuss there. So we'll pick this conversation up on Thursday night. I'm pretty sure a lot more will come out because we know what the Broncos gave up: 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, a 5th-round pick, quarterback Drew Lock, tight end Noah Fant, defensive lineman Shelby Harris. You telling me we couldn't have put together a better package than that? I'm not buying it. I'm just not buying that. And so what that tells me is you can buy the Seattle didn't want to trade him in the conference thing. What difference does it make? They stink now. They're not going to be in competition with us directly because they stink. They're not playing for anything meaningful, which is why the Lions traded Matthew Stafford to the Rams, because they said, we stink. What are we going to do? What are the Rams going to do to us? That shit doesn't make any difference. So I want the best package I can get. We had a better package, I think. Now, again, maybe they really put a lot of emphasis on the quarterback position and they really wanted Drew Lock. They really wanted it because if Drew Lock works out, they don't have to spend any draft capital moving forward on the quarterback position. They've got the option now because they've got the Broncos' 9th overall selection. So they can make a decision as to whether they like one of these young quarterbacks coming up or if they just want to ride with Drew Lock. They've got a decision to make. At the end of the day, this was Russell Wilson's decision, not the Seattle Seahawks. Don't fool yourself. If Russell Wilson says, I don't want to go to Denver, I want to go to Washington, guess what? They would have had to trade him to Washington. Don't talk to me about not wanting to trade him in the division. If Russell Wilson said, I want to go to Washington, they would have traded him to Washington. He said, I want to go to Denver, so they traded him to Denver. So, in closing, once again, some quarterback out there chose someone else over us. And once again, I don't blame them. All right. So, let's see. I think we got another super chat. We do. Just Andre, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Just Andre, thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Writes, DK about to have a trash quarterback. We'll see how good he is. He's going to know how Terry feels. We'll see. Remember, he was struggling last year down the stretch. He wasn't getting the rock. So we'll see what happens. They may have to force feed him the football now because he's a physical specimen. You might have to force it to him now. So we'll see. Anthony Pellegrini, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Anthony writes, draft a quarterback. If we suck, so what? We're used to it. I mean, that's what they're going to do. I mean, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to get a veteran. They're going to draft a rookie. And if we stink, again, like you said, we're used to it. So back to the drawing board and we'll try it again. I just hope we don't wait until another one of these drafts that kind of stink at the quarterback position to wait and say, hey, this guy, Malik Willis, not all that great. So kind of think. And the DW was Deshaun Watson. Okay, sorry. The DW was Deshaun Watson. He said he really wants Deshaun Watson. I don't see that happening either. But you never know. You never know. We'll see. But you're right. It is what it is. Brian Norfleet, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Or thank you for becoming a member of the MOBB. Brian, stand up. You are officially in the building as a brand new member of the squad. Welcome aboard. Mob, you know what to do. Show Brian some love. Brian, welcome to the MOBB. Really do appreciate you. So anyway, Kyle, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, should you guys try and go after Love now? I'm going to talk about that on the podcast. That's a topic that I will discuss on the podcast. Not necessarily specifically Washington, but that's a real thing. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is about to sign a 4-year contract. That essentially ensures he's going to spend the remainder of his career in Green Bay. That leaves Jordan Love pretty much out in the dark. So if you're Green Bay at this point, why hold on to a commodity that's just going to sit there and rot? Might as well get something for him. So that's going to be a real discussion that needs to be had. DMV fan, and I brought it up already, but we're really going to dive into it now that Aaron Rodgers is officially going to be back in Green Bay. DMV fan 123, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, where does our middle linebacker come from, draft or free agency? I really believe truly that it comes from the draft. And there's some good ones available. They're going to find their guy in the draft. And I think there are some options that get you excited. And I don't think you need to. I mean, there's really nothing there in free agency anyway. They're going to find that guy in the draft. At least I hope. I damn sure don't want to, go through what we went through the last 2 years with John Bostic and last year with David Mayo. Don't give me another glob of Mayo, please. Hold the Mayo. All right. Hold the Mayo. And I don't want to see John Boom Bostic back at middle linebacker either. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, William Rogers Jr., stand up. You are now officially a part and a member of the Mob Squad. Squad, you know what to do. Show my guy, William Rogers Jr., some love. Truly appreciate you for joining us. MOBB, William Rogers Jr. is one of us. Welcome to the squad. And with that, I am going to glide to the side, jump into this podcast. So if you are interested in some more conversation surrounding these quarterbacks and the decisions that have been made, come on over to the Louie T Network podcast. If not, I'll see you on Thursday night where we'll have a very healthy, hearty, because trust me, more will come out over the next 2 days about this trade, what Washington offered, this, that, and the third. There will be so many discussions that will be those that I think are interesting, as Ron likes to say, interesting and important. They're going to be interesting. What's important is that Russ chose the Denver Broncos over us. That's what's important. All the other shit that comes out, that's interesting. But we're going to talk about the interesting stuff too, because that's what we do. Anyway, I digress. You guys enjoy the remainder of your day. Hopefully you'll come join me on the Louie T Network podcast. If not, I'll see you on Thursday. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I'm a Washington fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Washington spirit will never die. Washington spirit will never fold. Even when we don't get chosen. Hail. Or take command. Post up. Take command. I'm your man, Louie T. I'm out. Hey, man.